Hi, today in our business organization and management class, we discuss about the establishment of company. So far, we have been discussing about the sole tradership business, the partnership business, Hindu undivided family business, cooperative business, and fifth one, company type of business. The earlier four types of business were already discussed and their establishment, the pros and cons of the related to that those business. Now coming to company establishment. Now after studying the features of a company, advantages of a company, disadvantages of various types of companies, we come to know that now how to establish a company. How to establish a company. So, before that, the steps related to in establishing a company. Establishment of a company is called incorporation. Incorporation of a company. Incorporation of a company. So, steps involved in incorporation of a company are mainly six. First one is idea formation. Idea formation. So, one has to make idea of incorporating a company. What type of company one has to incorporate? Usually, a person thinks about his experiences only. So, based on his experience, a person thinks that this type of business is workable, this type of business can be established. So, the formation of idea is the first and foremost step in the incorporation of a company. So, the idea formation. So, before going for idea, he thinks about the various problems faced are going to face by establishing this type of business. So, idea formation is the first step. And coming to second step is detailed research, detailed study in incorporating the particular so called company. So, detailed inspection, detailed research means each and every item of the business of the company has to be studied carefully. What is the raw material used? Where is it available? What is the cost of a raw material? How many types of raw materials are there? What are the grades and qualities of the raw material? What is the total capital available? Is the skilled labor available? And so on. All aspects, not only this, not only that. Marketing, finance, raw material, production, sales, everything, national, international competitions, competitors. So, based on the available information, every aspect should be thoroughly researched before incorporating the company. Next, procurement of resources. So, for every business, money is needed, resources are needed. Resources means not only money, monetary resources, water resources, natural resources, transportation, human resources, labor, and so on. What not? Every raw material, all the resources, whether they are available or not, which resource is to be given priority. which resource is to be prioritized, given most important, which can be compromised. So based on these valuable things, procurement of resources can be done. Next, capital raising. How much capital is needed? What are the various methods of capital raising? What are the various instruments we can adopt for capital raising? How much capital is needed? What are the parts of the capital? Equity capital and debentures, like that, types of shares and debentures, and so on. So, how much capital is needed? What are the different types of parts of the capital, components of the capital? So, these should be the parts of capital raising. Next, registration. For registration of a company, one has to produce all the necessary documents. In future lessons, we are going to learn about the necessary documents to be produced at the time of registration. Memorandum of Understanding, Articles of Association, Capital Clause, Liability Clause, etc. are to be prepared and submitted along with the prescribed fee to the Registrar of Companies. So, if the registrar satisfied with these papers, so he will register the company with name and date and number, so on. So, after registration, the company is came into existence. The company can act independently by its own through representatives. So, it is a legally born child after registration. So, next, starting the business. After registration, a private company can start immediately the business, and for public company, commencement of business certificate also should be procured, and statutory meeting also should be arranged before starting a business for a public limited company. These are the main steps for incorporation of a company. Next, coming to registration. Next, coming to registration. What are the documents needed for registering a company? What are the documents needed for registering a company? Now, coming to first one, Memorandum of Association. Memorandum of Association. We will discuss in detail later. In generally, Memorandum of Association explains the inner relationship between company and the society. External factors, how to be treated. How to be treated, the external factors of the company. Company relationship with the outside of the company. Later we will discuss in detail. Now next we'll go to second one, Articles of Association. Articles of Association is a document of a company which discuss the inner management or routine management of the company. List of directors who are going to be act as directors, their list and their eligibility chairs, their experience, their address, their so on, their details should be submitted for a registrar. Consent letter of directors. All the directors should give their own consent to be acted as a director, because the directors are sometimes punishable for their wrong deeds. Hence, all the directors are compulsory, they have to produce consent letters. Without the consent of directors, he cannot be the director. So, he should give his consent stating that he is willing to take the responsibility of the director. Next, eligibility shares. So, since there is a lot of competition to the post of directors, so the companies usually takes a qualifying step as eligibility shares. So, whoever is contesting for the director post should have buy minimum eligibility shares. So, the number of shares is called as well eligibility shares. Based on the company, they decide in articles of association, and then so much shares must be bought. That is the eligibility to be contested as the director. Next, agreements. What are the agreements made with the suppliers, sellers, bankers, underwriters? All these agreements to be produced to the company registrar. Registered office and address. Head office of a company, registered office of a company. Where is it located? With street number, door number, state, district, taluk, and all the location of the registered head office. Next, coming to capital clause. How much capital should be raised? How much capital should be raised? So, total capital and its components, dividends, because equity capital how much, share capital, preferential capital if any, and so on. This debenture capital, loans, it should be a proper mix. The capital should be a proper mix, and what should be the capital, authorized capital, so on, they have to discuss in this clause. Statutory meeting. So, a public company has to conduct a statutory meeting before starting the business. After getting registered, after getting commencement of business certificate, and as a last step, a public limited company should organize a statutory meeting, which is compulsory for conducting statutory meeting for public limited company. So that is the beginning of the uh, business commencement. Now we once again go back and learn the different steps involved in incorporation of company. Idea formation, detailed research, procurement of resources, capital raising, registration of a company, starting of business or commencement of business. These are the main 6 steps related to incorporation of a company. So, in this, registration of a company is very important. The document necessary for registration of a company: memorandum of association, memorandum of understanding or memorandum of association is very important document which explains the relationship between company and the outside society. So, second important document is articles of association. It explains the internal routine management. What are the rules and regulations? Appointing employees, what are their salaries, payments, all these should be in articles of association. List of directors who are willing to be as list of directors. Consent letter from directors. A letter of consent should be taken from the directors who are willing to act as a director. Coming to registration of a company, continuation, eligibility shares by directors. Willing directors should buy certain number of shares, minimum number of shares to be eligible to contest as a director in the company. What are the agreements before registration were made with with others of the company, machinery suppliers, builders, and so on? What are the agreements? Payment agreements, work agreements, like that. Head office clause. Registered head office. Where is it? Location. Under which jurisdiction it comes? Under which court jurisdiction it comes? Which village? Which taluk? Which district? And which court it's coming under? So the registered office or head office clause. Capital clause. How much capital should be procured? What are the different types of parts in the capital? Equity capital, preference capital, debentures, like that. What are the different components of the capital? Statutory meeting is the compulsory and compulsory and last step in the public limited company. With this, I conclude the establishment or incorporation of a company. Incorporation of a company. How to incorporate a company? How to incorporate a company? What are its steps involved in incorporation? What is registration? What are the steps involved in registration? What is a statutory meeting? What is a statutory meeting? And what are the main documents needed for registration? What are the main documents needed for registration? Once the company is formed, it goes on forever. The company's main advantage is perpetual existence. Continuity is the main feature, and many more advantages are there to company. So it seems a long process. Really, it is a long, lengthiest, costly, expenditure oriented process. The registration process is the lengthy process, costly process regarding to a company. Even then, once for all, once the company is established, it goes on for long time. It stands forever. It has its own advantages for registration or registered features. So, one can enjoy the fruits of registration after the company commences its activities. So, registration is must, and all activities should be based on the registration of the company, so that when a company is registered, it is legally came into existence as an artificial human being. A registered company can act on its own, can make agreements with other parties, buyers, sellers, even with government. It makes agreements through representatives. It issues shares and debentures, it collects money, it appoints employees, it can go for take loans, it can give loans, it buys goods and services, and so on. Whatever the activities can a real time living man can do, a company also do in the after registration. Registration of a company involves the so powerful step which is making birth to a new company. Registration is giving birth to a new company, and hence we are discussing the importance of the registration of a company. With this, after registration, we can say the company is incorporated. Thank you for listening.